So, hi, my name is Kevin Fortunato.
What are your favorite things to do in the community?
So, I'm a very avid road cyclist. I
Ooh.
love riding my bike with the Westchester Cycling Club. We typically do 3 to 4 rides a week in the summer. So, I got my own
Wow.
bike kit, and I started out, kind of slow, but I have progressed tremendously over the last 4 years. I'm such a strong rider now. The camaraderie in the group is amazing. It gives me
Wow.
such a sense of belonging, and uh, being supported. And everyone in the club sees me not for my autism, but for the very strong rider I am. And cycling, it's not just the physical part of it, but it's so therapeutic for me.
Mm.
It's done wonders for my mental health.
Wow. That's incredible. You might have
Yeah.
just sold me on biking.
I always say biking was truly the silver lining to COVID. Because it's given me so much passion and so much happiness.
I love that. That's
Yeah,
incredible. Very cool.
no
In what
problem.
ways have your support team helped you live the life that you want to live?
So meal prep and cleaning are both things
Mm.
that I need help with. So that's been a huge help. I am also someone that needs emotional support, someone to give me guidance on things and help me through challenging times. So I have a counselor. I have a counselor for that. His name is Dan. He's an awesome guy. He's so patient,
Mm.
so supportive, and he really understands me. And then I also have a therapist as well.
What would you say you're most proud of in your life so far?
So I've suffered with OCD, depression, and anxiety. And while there are times where it's been so debilitating, I've always been so determined to do the work. Eh, I've never given up, and I've
Mm.
always been determined to do the work to not let any of it impede on the life that I want to live.
That's really hard work, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
That's a great thing to be proud of. What are some things that you haven't done yet that you would like to try or accomplish in your life?
In general, I would love to do more traveling, and I think I would definitely need support with the packing, the planning, and the financial aspect as well.
Okay. That's a great goal. That's
Yeah.
exciting. What about a goal just for the summer this year?
For the
Any
summer
summer
this year,
goals?
well, I think I've accomplished that.
Yeah.
I actually, so there are in my bike club there are ride levels depending on the kind of rider you are. So when I first started riding, I was riding with the C group, and each group goes a particular speed when they're riding.
Ooh.
So the C group, when I first started riding with them, they go 12 to 14 miles an hour. And just last month, I graduated from the B plus level, and I started riding with the super B level, and they go 17 miles an hour or higher.
Wow, that's
And
pretty fast.
and a couple of weeks ago, I did a 75-mile ride with over 3,000 feet of climbing, which is basically going up. If you don't have
Yeah.
a perspective of climbing, it's just going up a lot of hills.
Yeah.
And I did all that while averaging 18 miles an hour for the whole ride. And I have
That
never.
sounds really hard.
It was well, and it's funny you should say that sounds hard, because after I finished that ride, I said to myself, I'm imagining where I was 3 years ago, and I
Right.
never thought that I would accomplish a ride like this, and to have now done that kind of ride, it's incredibly rewarding.
I can imagine.
And it
That's
makes me
great.
feel, reminds me that I can do anything I set my mind to.
Absolutely. Incredible. How would you say that the community can better support you?
So I always say, I've had people say to me in my life, oh, so like I'm very open about my disability. I've never shied away from disclosing that I have autism, because it's part of who I am, and I want to stay true to who I am.
Mhm.
And there have been many times where I've told someone, hey, I'm autistic, and sometimes people will say, "Oh, really? You don't look autistic." And
Mm.
on one hand, I can see that maybe they're trying to, in a way, be complimentary.
Sure.
However, they are seeing such a small portion of something that is so much bigger. They're not seeing the day-to-day navigations of life that I have to
Mhm.
go through,
Mhm.
and also the hurdles that I have to endure. And so it would be nice if people did not draw to their own conclusions or make assumptions, but rather would take the time to educate themselves to have a better understanding of the autism spectrum.
Absolutely. And it's true. It's
Mhm.
disabilities don't look a certain
Yeah.
way or sound a certain
Exactly.
way, or
Exactly.
there's so
and
many.
and that's why it's a spectrum, because everyone is different. And you know, y- you know, just because you have met one person who's autistic doesn't mean that someone else who's autistic might not have the same challenges that this other person has.
Mhm.
And that's why we shouldn't stereotype. We
Absolutely.
shouldn't judge or anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. Kind of in that same vein, what are some ways that people can create more inclusive and welcoming spaces?
To see people for autism for what their strengths are, for what they can do, to see them for what they're capable are, because to give them more chances, to see them how they to see them for how they shine, and
Mhm.
to know that they are human just like the rest of us, and they are capable of so much more than what we assume they are.
Absolutely. I love that answer. Well, thank you so much for taking the
Of
time to do
course,
this and sharing a little bit about
absolutely.
your story.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to end us off with
Um,
here?
a friend of mine once said, "Autism is a spectrum of awesomeness." So,
Oh,
and
I like
I think
that.
that's very, very true.
That is
So,
very true. I haven't heard anyone say that before.
yeah.
That's a good one.